Wade Porter is a hardworking man who lives with his girlfriend, Laura, and their son, Michael. He and Laura are planning to borrow some money to get married. Laura is overjoyed when Wade secures a loan from the bank. One night, Wade wakes up to a noise in the house. He quietly wakes Laura, grabs a baseball bat, and rushes to Michael's room. Seeing that his son is safe, he tells Laura to stay with Michael while he searches the house. As he enters the kitchen, someone suddenly attacks him and then tries to escape. Wade chases the intruder outside and, in the heat of the moment, hits him in the head with the bat, accidentally killing him. Overwhelmed with guilt, he struggles to process what just happened. The police arrive soon after, but instead of seeing it as self-defense, they accuse Wade of attacking an unarmed intruder after he was already outside the house. Wade and Laura try to explain, but the officers refuse to listen. Wade is arrested and charged with manslaughter. On his first day in prison, Wade gets into trouble with a prisoner named Tinto, who takes offense when Wade looks at him the wrong way. In his cell, Wade finds himself surrounded by tough, intimidating men. The next day, Laura visits and tells him Michael keeps asking about him. She promises to find a good lawyer to fight for his release. Later, a lawyer visits Wade and tells him he might face years in prison and a huge fine. Wade is shocked, but the lawyer assures him she will do her best to clear his name. That night, chaos erupts in San Quentin State Prison. Prisoners riot, set fires, and guards fire tear gas to restore order. The next day, a man named Jordan visits the prison to meet a prisoner named John Smith. Jordan informs John that he will spend his life in jail for his role in the riot. John, however, seems indifferent. He has lost everything after his wife and children were murdered, and he only cared about taking revenge on their killers. Wade's lawyer returns with an offer. If he pleads guilty, he will get a reduced 3-year sentence. Left with no other choice, Wade agrees. While being transported to prison, he meets Jake, a fellow prisoner who warns him about the most dangerous inmate, Danny Sampson. Suddenly, Sampson stabs another prisoner and hands the bloody knife to Jake. In panic, Jake hides the knife under Wade's seat and forces him to stay silent. As a result, Wade is blamed and sent to solitary confinement. Lieutenant Jackson questions Wade about the incident, but Wade refuses to talk. As punishment, Jackson sends him to the security housing unit, where the most dangerous criminals are held in solitary for 23 hours a day, with no visitors for 3 months. One day, during yard time, 2 prisoners start fighting. The guards don't stop them, they are actually betting on the fight. Afterward, the guards fire rubber bullets, and one of the prisoners, furious at the treatment, protests. He is taken away and brutally beaten by Lieutenant Jackson. 3 months later, Laura finally visits Wade. She tells him she has no money and suggests selling their belongings. Meanwhile, John is transferred to Wade's prison and becomes his cellmate. John immediately establishes dominance, but Wade avoids trouble. Over time, John gives Wade survival tips for prison life. One day, Wade is forced to fight another prisoner, Turner. He doesn't want to, but when the fight begins, he quickly turns the tables and knocks Turner down. A guard is about to shoot Wade, but Jackson orders him to shoot Turner instead. Wade starts realizing the prison is corrupt, but John warns him that guards make their own rules. Meanwhile, an investigator visits the prison to check on rising violence. Jackson tries to cover up the fights, saying he is working hard to maintain order. Later, Laura visits Wade again, this time bringing Michael. The boy is excited to see his father. Laura, struggling financially, tells Wade she plans to sell the house. Wade promises to take care of them when he gets out. Back in prison, Wade is ordered to fight again. When he refuses, Jake has his men beat him up. A riot breaks out, and the guards fire tear gas. John protects Wade and later scolds him for not following prison rules. Jake is a gangster, just like Sampson, and it's dangerous to disobey him. Laura starts selling their belongings. Meanwhile, Wade is summoned by Sampson, who is angry that Wade defied Jake. To everyone's surprise, Sampson orders his men to kill Jake instead. Then, he offers Wade a spot in his gang. Wade later asks John for advice. John tells him to accept, as Sampson controls the prison, and saying no could be deadly. One night, Wade asks John why he let the man who killed his family live. John replies that he wanted them to suffer the same pain he did, knowing they were responsible for his loss. Laura visits Wade again, this time breaking down. She tells him she can't live in poverty anymore and is leaving him. Furious and heartbroken, Wade attacks other prisoners in a blind rage. John tries to calm him, but Wade has lost everything. Laura starts packing to leave, but Michael is upset and asks why they are leaving his father's things behind. Realizing how much Michael loves Wade, Laura decides to return to visit him, promising to wait for him. Wade is overjoyed and shares the news with John. Determined to expose the prison's corruption, Wade and John come up with a plan. Wade asks Jackson to let him fight Tinto to the death. Meanwhile, Laura and Jordan team up with a detective to gather evidence against Jackson. The fight begins, and Wade struggles at first but gains the upper hand. Instead of killing Tinto, he spares him, which enrages Jackson. Just as Jackson is about to shoot Wade, John steps in to protect him. Jackson loses control and orders the guards to kill the prisoners, but one guard, Roberts, tries to stop him. Another officer, Collins, secretly reactivates the security cameras, capturing Jackson's brutality. As Jackson approaches to kill Wade, John attacks him but is shot by another officer. Before dying, John sacrifices himself to expose the corruption. Collins presses the emergency button, and guards storm the scene. Meanwhile, Laura, Jordan, and the detective arrive, gathering enough evidence to bring Jackson down.